Hello, welcome to Carl DeGregorio's Desk Session 16. Holy cow, moving along. This is, I suppose, the Christmas Eve version. Nothing about it's going to be Christmas Eve. That's not really where I'm at this year. And also, sticking with the theme of, how to stay on top of things during the holidays. I can't imagine what folks with big families and little ones must be going through. Just the level of stress and the level of expectation and the level of letdown. And what do they say about expectations? That's your surefire way to be let down. That's been the story of my career. So, okay, maybe that's a good table setting. Maybe we should talk about expectations. And for me, trying to get this one-man show going, or getting this one-man show going, doing the desk sessions, which is initially the creative outlet, not the creative outlet, but the accountability vlog to get the show up, is the desk sessions. Maybe it will morph into something else, more traditionally a vlog or more traditionally a pod, whatever. The point is, hopes and dreams, are they different than expectations? Yes. Plans and or actions are different, I think. So they always say that if you want to be let down, have an expectation. If you want people to let you down, expect them to do things, or hope and wonder why they don't. And I guess that is true in the arts too. If you have an expectation that a show, getting a job will change your life, outside of a very few jobs in the world, very few jobs in acting will change your life. Sure, a Broadway debut will change your life. A series regular anointing on a hit show will change your life, or a great guest star on a very successful show. Some of these things will change your life. But by and large, outside of getting SNL or things like that, your life, and when we say life-changing, we mean you go to bed one day as this, and you wake up the next day, and there's a whole new reality on the table. That can happen on your own if you do something other than expect things to happen, right? So, what are my expectations of the show? I right now, all I can do is worry about reading it at least one time for a few friends. That's my first step now. And that I've been able to blissfully be unperturbed by the planning of that because of the holidays. So do I hit the ground running and make that manifest as soon as possible and do what I say I'm going to do? That would be a good expectation, to expect yourself to do the things that need to be done. So that would require me to have a list of things that need to be accomplished, reading it one time, taking some feedback, perhaps taking some feedback, and then making changes, adjustments, and then start building it toward performance. One of the things that tripped me up a little bit when a friend suggested I read it at his home, which was a very nice offer. He said, just sit around and, sit down and, just tell us the story. As if reading it, as if the written text itself wasn't going to be sufficient. And then it made me spin into, well, okay, what is the story? It's not really a story thing. Because the story, the way I see it now, is a guy walks on stage and addresses the audience and tells many stories about things. And that was always my problem with the one-man show as an art form or as a piece of theater. What the hell happens? What would you say after you saw it that happened on stage, other than someone running their mouth? Because then it's just a lecture, or it's just a series of vignettes. Anytime you ETTE something, vignette, you are kitchenette. That's not a full kitchen. A vignette, kitchenette, dinette. It's not a full restaurant, not a full diner, not a full scene, not a full play. If you are just doing character vignettes, that's not a show. That's not a play. That's not a piece of theater. And so when he said, just tell us the story, I would literally, it gave me pause. So is that something I need to address before I read what I have, because I've fallen in love with the prose I've written? Yeah, I mean, it's something to think about. What is the story? What's the story? I haven't seen it, so I can't really talk about it, but what's the story of Mark Twain? I don't know. That seems to me to be one of the most famous one-man shows of all time, and it's a history lesson. So, and someone's wearing a white suit and a mustache, and they're doing that. And the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco. I don't know. That's something cool about that, but that's not what I'm doing. So I have to figure it out, and I have to work on my elevator pitch. We Carry the Light is the name of the show. It is about an actor persisting past the point of reason in the field of choice that he made an early decision to do. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. And then I guess the decisions of taste, whether that sounds appealing, is not really my concern. Although it will be if I am ultimately the marketer and the producer. The tough thing about doing things independently, or on spec as it were, is if you do a play that is commissioned or somehow goes through the pipeline of developing plays, eventually it gets a production. And eventually a director will start making decisions, hopefully in concert with the playwright. But they will start making decisions, and then a cast will be applied to it, and then a set design. And as far as it's described, the color palette is going to maybe be up to the costumer or the set designer, and it becomes a delegated mission. The poster, inevitably, if you do something at the public theater, does the playwright market it and say, come see, bring the noise, bring the funk? And does he do the big block lettering and the tap foot and all that? Is that anything to do with the playwright? And is that marketing meant to obviously lure an audience? If I was to say that We Carry the Light is about an actor who is persisting past the point of reason in his chosen field so long ago, and that these are stories of persistence, stories of woe, some stories of triumph, stories of doing it for the sake of doing it, how would you market that? And that's probably not what I should be thinking about just yet, but meaning just sit down and tell us the story. And then I have to work on that famous elevator pitch idea. But a one-man show that is more than just a vignette, what's the story? And if you want to talk in verbs, which is a big actory thing to talk about, what's the action of the play would be a revealing. If a buzzy word and a buzzy trend of vulnerability is out there, then what's the verb of being vulnerable is to reveal, to share, to unburden, to confess. Those are verb versions of being vulnerable, especially if what you have to share, what you have to confess, what you have to reveal is any way, shape, or form embarrassing, borderline toxic, or something of a nature of there's some embarrassment or acknowledgement of rough times before, on the way to better times ahead. That's kind of what you would put into play when you think about how to, entice someone to say, would you sit and listen to this? And this is why I have to start taking it into the realm of space, because I have to hear other people, not so much saying, I didn't like this, I didn't like that. I hate those Q&As. They're always counterproductive. But can you, and I guess this is helping me right now on the spot, is helping me to understand, like, what would I want What questions would I ask after? Can you see the story within the story? Can you hear a through line behind the words? And then again, what would a director would then sort of craft a stage picture, an amoeba, amorphous line of the character's movement on stage to be a picture kind of within a picture. You know what I mean? That I don't think I can do on my own. I can write it, I can act it, and I can ultimately maybe even produce it and maybe have to market it. But I can't be the third eye or the outside observer and be within it. So just sit down and tell us the story. So right now, We Carry the Light is about falling back in love with the thing that turned a young artist on when he needed it the most. The light is the imagery I'm using, that it was the light, oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. That whole thing, that whole drama nerd thing really spoke to me, that the inner light could be lit, eternal, and that is really what we're trying to do from the stage, from the pulpit, from the cinema, from the pages of a book, from the paint on a canvas. We are trying to bring the light, carry the light, flash the impulse of the thing that got us here in the first place. Flash that out loud, to somehow use skills and crafts and collaborations and vulnerabilities and revealings and intense need to share. Somehow we could get skills that would get us to be able to do that thing, that innate thing, that life force thing. That's how I see art, and that's what I would hope this play would do for anybody watching, would remind them that the reason people always dissuade you from the arts as impractical is because we have set up a society and a world where commerce is the game at hand. And there was a very interesting notion that one percenters or Nepo babies, the reason so many Nepo babies, it's not so much that they got advantage. Maybe they did. I'm sure they did. But the reason that they go into the arts, just like their famous parents, is because once you have solved the commerce capitalist game to the point where your needs are met and you don't have to earn your keep, of course you would want to go into the arts, because that's quote unquote the thing that makes things worth living, right? Monuments Men, right? It's like the whole premise of that movie is this war is on. They're bombing museums. They're bombing cultural artifacts. They're bombing things that, you know, make life worth living. And there's quotes all over it and speeches all over it about, like, you know, this is what the fuck we're fighting for in the fucking first place, right? I don't think they said it in those terms, but the whole point being that if we are not going to fight to preserve libraries, art, plays, what are we going to do? You know, why take why take those things that make hardship bearable? Why take those out? Why not fight for them? And so again, here, this is all helping me coalesce more of my elevator pitch. You know, in the course of the play, I will relitigate that it is worth fighting for, that things weren't in vain, you know, and it's sort of why it's hard for me to explain, because when he says, sit down and tell me the story, well, the story is me. My story is what I'm telling you, that I started out as a Jersey kid, maybe not sure of himself, and then found something and took it to stages and took it to television and took it to several different media. And not a lot of it got me famous. Not a lot of it got me paid. Some of it did, but it still burns. And maybe the the notion that I'm no kid anymore, maybe that's part of the story too. Relitigating my commitment, reasserting my commitment, maybe even re-examining my commitment. And I guess an expectation that I have to check the word and check how I'll feel about it. But the goal, the dream is that completing this production, while not life-changing, but definitely life-affirming, if done the way I am envisioning it, would be a life changer, would be a resounding yes to myself that yes, it was worth it. The sacrifices have been worth it. Or it's a big fourth down Hail Mary pass, that has a bit of a desperate tone to it, so I want to be careful with that. But I don't know. After all this word salad, all this pages and pages, a book, a play, screenplays, now a one-man show, now 16 episodes of a ramble, of a vlog, posts on social media, all of this still leads me to say, I don't know. Wow. Well, I don't know. It's not a great marketing plan. So that's the problem with being truthful about all of it. When someone says, what's your play about? If you say, I don't know, then why would you come see it? But I will find collaborators along the way, and I will find kernels of tent poles to somehow latch on to some hashtags, buzzy words, ways to market this. And, again, the title being We Carry the Light is not up for grabs, but is up for grabs, right? Because things will change. But first we gotta, like my buddy said, just sit down and tell us the story. That's going to be the next thing. So this will be Christmas Eve. I hope that works out for you. I'm just trying to do what I got to do. I don't have a lot of cheer this year. But, enjoy the football, enjoy the basketball, and just try to enjoy some you time. And if it's good, try some we time. But hopefully you get all of it. And hopefully I will too. And that's all I got for you. I don't know if this was a rant worthy of the 16th, but if you are of the few that do put your eyes on this, thank you. And this was Carl D. going third person and saying peace on the Session16. Later.